What up, YouTube? It's Kurt here. Today I'm going to talk about why pop music is so loud. So, disclaimer, this is going to be a very technical video if you're not here to talk about technical mixing stuff and DAWs. This is not going to be the video for you. So let's just jump straight into it. I'm going to bring up a couple screenshots and show you some EQ bands and show you just why it's harder as a band to get various instruments to come together and have it come out as loud as some pop music. Alright, so here's a couple screenshots, and I'll get to these momentarily, but first I'm going to explain something about the equalization. When it comes to the equalization of all of these different types of music, one thing you'll find with pop, well, actually the EQ won't be all that different, but when you look at the various instruments that are used within pop, as opposed to instruments that you use in a band, they'll be produced by a computer. And what this will result in is that you'll have kind of less runoff at the various ends of the spectrum. So if you're using bass that's done by a computer or a synthesizer, you'll hear more of the bass and there won't be as much runoff or higher end sounds coming from that bass instrument, as opposed to a natural bass, one that you actually hold and you're playing, that's going to have more noise across the whole spectrum. Now, normally this wouldn't matter that much, but what happens is you can't take that much EQ away from certain parts of regular instruments, and the reason why is if you take too much high-end high frequencies out of your bass instrument, what's going to happen is it's going to start to sound unnatural, and it's going to sound as if you're not actually playing the bass, and it's not going to be as well-rounded. So with that being said, what's going to happen when you combine that bass with the guitar and drums when you're mixing with a band, that some of that noise, when it comes out of your speakers, it's going to cancel each other out, because the various instruments, they have overlapping frequencies. So some of that is going to cancel each other out when it comes through your speakers. So it really doesn't. You can EQ it a little bit, but there's only so much you can do, because some of that's going to overlap. Some of that sound is going to contrast a bit, and it's just almost impossible to get it as loud as a mix with pop music. So that's the first dimension, is the EQ band of the individual instruments. The second dimension is when you're dealing with pop music. Pop music often has less instruments. So if you have any experience mixing at all, no matter what, if you are using less instruments, it is a whole lot easier to make it sound loud. For whatever reason, it probably has to do with a little bit of what I talked about earlier with noise cancellation. It might have a little bit to do with that, but if you compress, if you're only compressing 2 or 3 or 4 instruments as opposed to 5, 6, or 7, which you're doing with a band, you actually might have to do more than that, because you're doing an entire drum kit. It's going to be way easier to make the music louder. So with that said, it's not that important to have your music that loud. I don't advocate for loud music, but this is an interesting thing. So if you go from a pop song, like in Spotify, to a metal one, it'll often come through, it won't come through as crisper at the same level. So this is all just to say why the best experience is actually to listen at home with speakers or high quality headphones, which a lot of people don't do. But these are all the reasons why pop music is just so loud. So hopefully I'm appealing to a lot of my listeners. So in other news, I finally got my recording stuff back, so I've been working hard on that. But yeah, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, all that stuff. So I'm hoping to, yeah, I've been working hard on that new material, guys, so I really appreciate it.